A warship of the Central Defence Force requires dozens to hundreds of service people of various disciplines and across multiple shifts to operate at the peak of its effectiveness. The grand majority of these hands are foremast jacks, enlisted personnel who compose divisions of labourers, technicians of every stripe, mechanics, cooks' hands, nurses, and every other variety of skilled work required by a serving warship. These men and women are answerable to the ship's numerous commissioned and non-commissioned officers, who lead departments and divisions, as well as contributing to the direct operation of the ship from the quarterdeck. In this example, we will take a modern ship-rigged frigate of the Confiance-Class, as smaller brig-rigged vessels have significantly less elaborate muster lists and require less delegation to operate. At the head of any vessel is the captain. In the case of a frigate such as this, the commanding officer must hold the rank of post-captain, though crucially the title of captain is held by anyone in command of a vessel regardless of rank. Sometimes described in ancient times by the lofty sobriquet of Master under God, the captain is the first and last point of responsibility for everything aboard ship. At the captain's right hand is their executive officer, often also called a first officer, and normally holding the rank of either lieutenant commander or commander on a ship-rigged vessel. The equivalent to the first mate in civilian service, or to the quartermaster of a pirate or privateer vessel, this second-in-command is not only a strategic advisor and confidant to the captain, but also the crucial liaison between the captain and the crew. In order for the captain to remain a well-liked and guiding figure for all aboard ship, it is often useful for the more necessarily draconian elements of personnel management and discipline to be left to the first officer. The third most important position on a ship's quarterdeck, often held by the ship's second officer, is that of the signals officer, operating the ship's LiDAR and phased array radar suites, as well as all communication systems. The signals officer's duties are many and vital, with their interpretation of all sensor input providing the captain with a trusted image of the ship's situation both in and out of action. They are often also required to coordinate damage control in collaboration with the first officer and keep the crew appraised of important announcements via the ship's PA system. Being a role that requires many years of training and education, the position of signals officer on a ship-rigged vessel is always filled by a commissioned officer. At the next station on the quarterdeck stands the ship's master gunner or weapons officer. Technically, the position of master gunner is that of a warrant officer, but on larger vessels the position is frequently filled by a commissioned officer by virtue of how many quarter gunners and gunnery divisions they are required to command. At the captain's order, the weapons officer paints targets and relays firing orders to the gun deck for local control, though they are also able to remotely operate the ship's entire arsenal when needed. On brig-rigged vessels, this remote operation is standard, as smaller vessels do not feature crewed gun emplacements. In control of the ship's conning is the helmsman or helmswoman. By tradition, this is frequently a foremast hand who has been rated petty officer, though it is also often held by a junior commissioned officer, as the position is an excellent starting step towards a career in command. The ship's alpha shift helmsman holds seniority, and alternate shift helm officers will frequently double as skiff coxswains or navigation hands. Almost always selected from those foremast hands who have been rated petty officer, the bosun is a crucial warrant officer who governs ship's discipline and serves as the vital liaison between the officers and the foremast hands, acting as the latter's representative in officer country and carrying their concerns to the senior staff. In addition to heralding changes in orders with their iconic whistle, the bosun is responsible for defaulters, the regular ceremony in which discipline is handed down to unruly or incompetent members of the crew. Much of the actual discipline is carried out by the bosun's mate or mates, and in modern days is reasonably mild, limited mostly to incarceration in the ship's brig, a far cry from the ancient days of flogging around the fleet. A petty officer permanently assigned to the quarterdeck, the yeoman of the deck is an orderly responsible for carefully documenting every order given and every situation that develops on deck. Responsible for the ship's logbook and black box, the yeoman of the deck ensures that an accurate accounting is available should the captain ever be called upon to answer for themselves or their vessel before the Admiralty. The final role aboard the quarterdeck is that of the Sergeant of the Guard. Though not always an actual sergeant, this individual is always an NCO sourced from the ship's Central Marine Corps contingent and is stationed on the quarterdeck, often with one or two junior Marines, to assist in repelling boarders if need be, as well as to enforce justice should it ever become necessary to relieve an officer of their station or confine them to quarters. Wardroom officers are those members of the ship's company permitted to dine in the wardroom, and this number includes several more than just those assigned to the quarterdeck itself. Though some junior commissioned officers share the wardroom, comprising the ship's 3rd, 4th and 5th officer, most of the wardroom officers are non-commissioned warrant officers. The most important among these is the ship's master, the senior-most non-commissioned officer aboard, and in modern days essentially the ship's chief engineer. The role dates back to the ancient position of sailing master aboard wind-driven vessels. Next is the ship's senior surgeon, who serves as the head of its medical department, with numerous surgeons' mates and nurses under their authority. Also seated in the wardroom is the commander of the ship's embarked marine contingent. In the case of a frigate, this person would normally hold the marine rank of captain, but on ships of the line, a major is frequently required to govern their larger contingent. The ship's purser holds authority over the ship's discretionary funds and treasury books, as well as managing pay sheets, muster and prize money for all aboard. The purser also runs the ship's requisitions, where crewmen may procure uniform components and other essentials. The final warrant officer seated in the wardroom is the master-at-arms, who is responsible for all of the small arms and munitions aboard ship, ensuring they are securely locked away when not in use and kept well maintained at all times. A small section of non-marine security personnel are in service to the Master-at-Arms to enforce the monitoring of shipboard arms lockers, and to intervene in any security or discipline situations for which Marines are inappropriate. Though not permitted to dine in the wardroom by default, invitations are regularly extended to the ship's midshipmen. Housed in a dormitory known as the Midshipmen's Berth, these cadet officers are probationally assigned to serving vessels to learn from real service prior to their examination for ensign. In addition to ceremonial duties, midshipmen are largely called upon to relay orders and information between departments, or to lead small divisions of ratesmen in working tasks. Thank you for watching. You can get the Sojourn through various distributors, all of which are accessible through www.thesojournaudiodrama.com. You can also get the series through Patreon, where you'll be able to access various bonus features, including our visual dictionary, Guinevere cross-sections, and anthology shorts. Remember to join us on Discord and get regular updates on all upcoming Sojourn releases. All the related links can be found below this video. Fair winds.